Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today we're going to be playing with the new Stamp and Die of the Month from Not Too Shabby. This is for May 2023 and these guys are just simply adorable. Okay, so let's take a look. This is this adorable little stamp set. It's called Oh My Stars, and we've got a bunny, we've got a raccoon, a bear, and a couple of cute little foxes, and they are all ready for a 4th of July or Memorial Day or Veterans Day, whatever, that kind of celebration. I think it's mostly geared towards 4th of July, and I think this is super adorable. We've got a lot of summer things on here too, ice cream cone, popsicle. Yeah, those are super cute, and some little stars, and I am really, really loving this, as well as a couple of fireworks and one that hasn't gone off quite yet, and a cute little balloon in the red, white, and blue, or rather in the stars and stripes that would be colored red, white, and blue. So anyway, that's the stamp set, and then of course we've got all the dies to go along with it. I have not taken these apart yet, so we are gonna go ahead and just stamp out some of these little guys and get started on making a fun card or two. Okay, we're going to just ink up all of our little characters. I basically got almost everything from that stamp set on my Misty ready to get stamped. And I'm not really that concerned if everything's going to be dark enough on the first stamping around, because I'm going to go back over this with some embossing later on. So I am leaving everything in my Misty so it'll be in the right position when I come back, and I am going to make sure that I remember that I've got this lined up at that first grid mark to make sure that it's all perfect. So let's go ahead and take this out and then we can start some coloring. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put this back into our stamp platform. And I'm lining it up with that line I did before. And I'm also going to leave down a piece of acetate to make sure that I'm actually stamping in the right spot. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of that Gina K ink And just do a quick press to make sure everything is lined up as expected, and it is perfect. So now I can go ahead and use my VersaFine. I'm going to use VersaFine Clair and some embossing powder. I'm going to use basically the technique I like the most for doing black embossing, and that is not using any black powder. I'm actually going to be using some clear embossing powder from WOW. And before I do that, although it's not actually necessary when you're using WOW embossing powder, I am going to use my Antistatic powder bag just to make sure I don't get any of that embossing powder somewhere I don't want it. Okay, so we're going to stamp it down with some VersaFine Clair. And this ink stays wet longer than my Gina K does. And since it's a pigment ink, it usually goes down perfect, nice and dark first time around. So that makes all of those lines just pop a little bit more. So that looks great, especially when you do any kind of coloring and, I don't know, maybe go over the lines and that sort of stuff. This makes it so that you can see them a lot better, so that now we can go ahead and emboss those. And that looks pretty good. Looks like I've got everything colored with one go. So next we're going to die cut all of these little guys out. I do have to warn you, the dies do cut very close to the line, so I'm hoping I've got everything lined up right. So let's go ahead and run that through. A tip that I saw recently is that you could use a second magic mat as your top plate, and that's going to even help your plates last even longer. I don't do this every time, but I am starting to do it a little bit more, and sometimes it doesn't give quite enough pressure. If that happens, then I just go ahead and use my regular plate. So let's take a look. And at least this one cut out great. So I did manage to get everything lined up pretty good, and I noticed something when like I said, I hadn't taken apart the dies yet. So on this die, it actually cuts out the little bear's hands, his little arms. So you can put something there right in the middle. You can give him the sucker. You could give him the little rocket. Don't know if that would be very safe, but like he's getting ready to shoot it off. You could give him the little popsicle, or even the ice cream cone, which is hiding around here somewhere. I would say though that I'm probably, if I do decide to use one of those, I'm either going to trim off that little extra white around it, of whatever I decide to give him, or color it in with that brown marker so you don't see it. But at this point, I don't know what I'm going to use out of all of my little fun goodies. So next step, we need to go ahead and start working on a background. So I had a couple of different ideas, and what I kind of decided on is I'm going to do some stripes. And to mark everything off, I'm using something that sits in my stash and I do not use very often, and that is washi tape. This is some of the thin washi tape, and that's because I want to have some thin white lines on here when I'm done. So I'm just taping this down. I'm using the grid on my glass mat to be a guide, so I can get all of these pretty much parallel. For my stripes, I'm going to be using some Catherine Pooler blue suede shoes. I'm always wanting to say blue suede shoes. Anyway, suede shoes ink, which is this pretty dark blue, and I'm going to also use some Colorful Hive telephone box that is a bright red. And these are both water reactive inks, so they're going to work really well together. And of course, I can also do splatter if I want to once I get done. So basically, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put down some blue on one side of my washi, and the washi is acting as a mask. And let's get a little bit more of that ink down. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the red one, which is my telephone box. We're going to do the same thing on this side. And I'm going to finish that pattern going all the way down, and then I can remove my washi tape and have a really cool red, white, and blue pattern. So let's take a look. Ah, come on. Okay, so at first piece, you can probably see it decided it was going to tear the paper. And a trick that I had heard a while back, hadn't actually tried it until today, was that with washi tape, if you heat it, it will sometimes let go of the paper. So it worked fine on that first strip. So let's go ahead and try it on another one, because I do not want to rip my paper after doing all this work. And you'll also want to pull away, pull at an angle like that. And that turned out fabulous. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the rest of these and then use some art glitter glue. Then use some art glitter glue to tack that one bit down. And then my background will be pretty much done. I'm going to be putting this whole card down onto a white card base, and I decided I'm going to have a red matting layer to go back behind my red and blue, red, white, and blue stripes. And this is the part where I have that little, oops, that little bit that tore. Everything else came off perfectly fine. So this is the part I'm going to tear, I'm going to basically cut off. The red panel here is right at 4 by 5 1/4. So I cut a 1/4 inch off of each side when I did that one. So this one I can cut down to 3 3/4, and that's going to get rid of that little bit. And then by 5. Also leaves me with a couple of fun bits here that I can use on another card or on the inside or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to start with it right about here, and then I think I'm going to put another one of the fireworks bursts over on the side. But let's go ahead and start off with those two. And I'm going to use some glittery, I think, embossing powder. I've got some silver, I've got some gold, and then I've got this one that is some clear sparkle, but I do want it to show. This one is clear gloss. I'm going to use the clear sparkle, but I'm going to use it over some white embossing powder, which should just give it a little bit, over some white pigment ink. The pigment ink is probably not going to completely cover all of my red and blue, but it should brighten it up a bit. And I'm still planning on using the WOW embossing powder, so I don't have to have my powder tool, but I am going to go ahead and do it anyway, just to be on the safe side. Okay, you can see it a little bit there, but it's still a little bit dark. Let's brighten that up a bit more. And we'll go with one more. Okay, and now we're going to put some of that clear that clear sparkle embossing powder over the top. And that means it's got a little bit of glitter in there. And I think that looks great. It's not going to be as bright as this because, again, it is clear. So we're going to heat this one. And because of all that glitter, and I don't want it to blow away, I'm going to heat it from the bottom. I do heat a lot from the bottom so I don't lose any of that pretty embossing. Okay, so just double checking, make sure everything is set well, and I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and adhere this down, and then I will position all my little critters. So I die cut out one of the sentiments. This one says celebrate with a bang. We're going to have that up in the sky. And I decided I'm going to also bring in this cute little raccoon because he's kind of sneaky. He's back in the background, and yeah, he looks like he is about to blow off some more fireworks, right? I think that is super cute. To do this, I'm going to actually use some of my liquid glue and some foam tape for these guys. And that is going to finish up this card. So you guys have a wonderful day. Be sure to check out the playlist to see more videos where I'm using Not Too Shabby Shop products. And be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you get notification when I do my next video. I will be live here on YouTube and over in the Not Too Shabby Facebook group later in the month, sharing another card video making something with this cute set. So you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.